It started like any other quiet afternoon in our suburban neighborhood, until I found out that the HOA president, Karen, was turning a blind eye while her son bullied my little girl. I didn't want trouble. I didn't want drama. But what they didn't know was that my daughter isn't some helpless victim, and this time they messed with the wrong family. I first noticed the bruises when my daughter came home from the park. Tiny marks on her arms and legs that she tried to hide under her hoodie. She said she fell. But then I saw her flinch when I mentioned Karen's son. That was the first red flag. I did what any parent would do. I went straight to the HOA to file a complaint. Guess who sat at the head of the table with her arms crossed and a smug little smirk? Karen. The same woman who hands out fines for uncut grass and holiday lights suddenly didn't care about a 10-year-old being pushed around on the playground. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Boys will be boys." That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about a playground fight. It was about power, about people like her thinking they're untouchable. But what Karen didn't realize was, my daughter's been through worse, and she doesn't scare easily. Neither do I. So I started watching, listening, gathering things, videos, witnesses, even other parents who had stayed silent until now. What we uncovered about Karen's little angel made my blood run cold. And just when I thought I'd seen it all, something happened that changed everything. It was a Thursday afternoon when I got the first message from an unknown number. No name, just a blurry video clip. In it, Karen's son wasn't just pushing kids around. He was cornering a much smaller boy behind the community pool house, calling him names I won't repeat. And standing just off camera, sipping her iced coffee, was Karen herself, watching. That's when it hit me. This wasn't negligence. This was permission. I brought the video to the next HOA meeting, fully expecting fireworks. But instead of outrage, I got silence. One board member wouldn't even look me in the eye. Another muttered something about not wanting to get involved. That's when I realized this ran deeper than just Karen and her son. This was a neighborhood under control by fear, by social politics, by silence. But not me. I was done being quiet. So I did what Karen never expected. I taught my daughter how to defend herself. Not just with fists, but with facts, with documentation, with questions that made adults stutter and teens go pale. We recorded, we organized, we printed flyers, we hosted a safe spaces for kids meeting at the library, and the room was packed. Then someone tried to slash my tires. That same night, my daughter found a note shoved into her locker at school. It said, "Snitches get stitches." And now I know this isn't just about bullying anymore. It's war. And we're just getting started. The school brushed it off. "Probably just a prank," the vice principal said, barely looking up from his desk. "A prank? My kid is 12. She's getting threats, and no one's doing a damn thing." That was the moment I realized we were truly alone. And yet not quite. That same evening, after the note, I got a knock at my door. It was Melissa, quiet mom, 2 doors down. Always polite, never in the mix. She looked over her shoulder before stepping inside. "I saw the flyer," she whispered. "I need to tell you something, but it has to stay between us." She showed me pictures. Her own son, bruises on his back, ripped shirt, red marks across his neck. He'd been cornered by Karen's boy too, weeks ago. But her husband didn't want to make waves. Said, "Just let it go." But Melissa couldn't. Not after she heard what happened to my daughter. That night, 3 other parents texted. The next day, 2 more. Stories started flooding in. Stories that all pointed to the same pattern. Karen's son was a bully, and Karen was covering it up. Only now, it wasn't just Karen we were worried about. Someone else was helping her keep things quiet. Anonymous emails started coming in, telling me to stop. One included a photo of my daughter walking home from school. No note, no words, just the photo. I filed a police report. They said they'd look into it. The next morning, the Safe Spaces flyer was ripped off every bulletin board in the neighborhood. Spray painted across the community pool wall were 3 words: "Stay in line." But here's the thing no one seems to understand. My daughter is not the one who needs protecting anymore. She's the one they should be afraid of. And me? I'm done playing nice. By the end of the week, I'd had enough. I pulled my daughter out of school. Just for a few days, I told them. Family emergency. I lied. But the truth was, I wasn't about to let her walk those halls while there was a target on her back. She needed time to regroup, time to get strong. And I needed time to plan. Because this wasn't just a mom and daughter fight anymore. This was a system, a rotten little kingdom where Karen was queen, and everyone else was too scared to speak. But every queen forgets one thing: the people talk. And now they were talking to me. We created a private group chat, coded names, locked invites. Dozens of parents, quietly fed up, finally had somewhere to speak. Stories kept pouring in. Complaints ignored, bruises hidden, surveillance footage accidentally deleted. And then came the gold mine. Melissa's husband. Turns out he's an IT guy. Quiet, nervous, but guilty as hell for not speaking up sooner. He found something on the HOA server. A folder, buried deep, password protected. It was titled, "Compliance Incidents. Do Not Share." Inside, photos, logs, reports, written complaints that had never been brought up in any HOA meeting. Audio files, even a video where Karen is clearly heard saying, "We don't need to involve the police. It's just kids being kids. We can handle it internally." Internally? You mean cover it up? I downloaded everything, backed it up twice, sent copies to 3 people I trusted with my life. And just as I was about to send it to the news, I got another message. Blocked number. No name. Just one sentence. "You're making a mistake." And attached, a video. My daughter, in real time, standing in line at the grocery store with her aunt. Someone was filming her. Close. No attempt to hide it. My hands went cold. My heart stopped. They're watching her. They're watching us. But if they think that's going to make me back down, they don't know me at all. The next morning, I stood outside the HOA office, my heart pounding in my chest. The folder with all the evidence was safely tucked inside my bag, ready to be handed to the press. But something inside me told me to hold off just a little longer. I needed to be sure. I took a deep breath and walked in. The room was exactly as I remembered it. Silent, stiff, filled with the same faces who'd looked the other way. Karen was there, of course, sitting at the head of the table with that same smug smile. "You're here," she said with a condescending tilt of her head. "Anything we can help you with today, Mrs. Carter?" I dropped the folder on the table. The thud echoed like a bomb going off. "I'm done asking nicely," I said, my voice steady, even though inside I was shaking. "You wanted to cover this up, Karen? You thought you could bully my daughter, my family, into silence." The room fell deathly quiet. Karen's face twitched, but she didn't speak. "I've got enough evidence to ruin you and your precious HOA. I could send this to the press, the cops, hell, even the state attorney. You really want to go down that road?" For the first time, I saw her falter. Her eyes darted to the other board members. They were shifting uncomfortably in their seats, no longer as confident as before. The walls that once protected her were starting to crumble. I didn't wait for her to respond. I turned to leave, but then I paused, looking over my shoulder. "One last thing," I added, voice dripping with finality. "You thought you were untouchable. You thought you could get away with it. But Karen, let me make one thing clear. You and your son have no idea what my daughter and I are capable of." I walked out the door, leaving behind a room full of shocked, uncomfortable faces. The war wasn't over, not by a long shot, but I knew something had shifted. There was power in standing up, in fighting back, in exposing the truth. The next day, a police officer showed up at my door with a warrant. Karen's son was taken in for questioning. And when the story hit the news, everything changed. People who had stayed silent for years finally started speaking out. Karen was removed from the HOA. Her influence crumbled. And though the scars left on my daughter would never completely fade, she wasn't the same frightened girl she'd been. We had taken our stand. And we had won.